Hello, everyone. My name is William Hardaway. I am an instructional designer at California State University, Fresno. So, uh, uh, some time ago, I reached out to Kevin about because I did the High Flex Institute or Flexible Course Institute last summer. I needed to use a run-of show for a cohort community of practice that I was running here at Fresno State. And if y'all are not familiar with the run-of show, it's just kind of giving a timeline for every activity you're going to have during a class session, which is super valuable. But I wanted to get his feedback because I was running this cohort 3 days in a row live for 8 hours, like it was an in-person thing. And so in the process of giving me feedback on it, he was like, hey, you should come and talk to the group about what you're doing with this. And since I'm in the course anyway, that is why I'm here. So to give a little bit of context for the activity we're going to do, this is a picture from 1921 of the Wesley Chapel School in my hometown of Welder, Texas. Number 7 in this photo is my grandfather, who I'm named after. And this is a school that my great-grandfather started because this was before Separate But Equal. There was no Black school in the town. And so my grandfather started the school. All my aunts and uncles graduated from this school as well after my grandfather graduated, quote unquote. It went up to 6th grade, and there was one classroom and there was one teacher. And so they had this kind of each one teach one type of model where the older students, in addition to learning their new lessons, they would also help the younger students learn the lessons that they had learned before. So kind of interesting. But that history, so I kind of say that I was destined to be in education. Obviously, as we've been talking about, there's this history of oppression in higher education. And what's interesting, what I am specifically into is like the design of higher education, the design of the classroom. And, there's just this original design that was very logically sound for educating a large number of people that came out of the colonial system and the colonial colleges that was at that time, because of how inequitable things were in America, it was researched and kind of workshopped with a specific group of, white Christian and male learners that were going to stay on location in a dormitory type system. Eventually, they felt they needed like deans and administration to kind of, help those students. And so we do have this long history of, now we're kind of redesigning that original design. And so it's just kind of helpful to think about that as you go through and redesign different elements of your course. You're not designing anything, you're designing new things, but you're also redesigning a past design. With this equity-minded pedagogy community practice, one of the first things we do, so I've been doing anti-racism, welcoming diversity, prejudice reduction workshops for like the past 12 years through our National Coalition Building Institute on campus. And so I get to work with faculty, administration, staff, students, all those different groups on having sometimes, most often, their first conversation about privilege and oppression. And so one of the first things we do in the community practice is we, center identities as essential to the process of actually making change. And in this case, it's essential in the process of actually designing for equity in the classroom. And so I can't see the chat currently, but let me open it up. If you are willing and you feel safe, this is a chart that is adapted from the Center for Urban Education out of USC. If you haven't looked at their content, it is amazing, very useful, very helpful. There's a lot of tools that you can definitely use. But where we start at is kind of unpacking all of our identities. And so if you, and I know Kevin was talking about how you're not trying to redesign everything at one time, but down the line in the future, if you would consider identity as a component that's essential for you in your teaching practice and is essential for your learners, it'll be very helpful. But before we get into the content of the community of practice, we kind of start with unpacking identity. So if you feel safe, you can look at this chart and pick a group where you are oppressed, and then pick a group where you are actually the beneficiary. So all of us have been oppressed based on age. So for example, if you are young or you present as young, if you are older or you present as older, you may be seen as stubborn or in the way. And so those are that's just a common connection that we all have to experiencing inequity. So if you're willing, in the chat, go ahead and share a group to which you belong that is oppressed and a group to which you belong that has privilege. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. And so these are some more resources that are helpful to this process. So what I want to get into, because we already talked about, Kevin already covered like the different inequities and how they could be addressed. What I want to get into is this tool. And I created this tool for a faculty member who came to me and wanted me to review their syllabus to see, to kind of evaluate equity in their course. And I felt like I couldn't effectively do that because I couldn't like process everything that was going on in the syllabus. So I was doing some research on like syllabus review tools that are connected to equity. There wasn't a whole lot that was super expansive. And so what I did was I created things from my experiences and some of the resources. So if you tap on that link, you'll see a tool that you can copy and a framework. And so just kind of read through some of the items and you know, this is a tool that you can use in your actual design of your syllabus, which is actually, we call them like signals. So your syllabus kind of sends a signal to students about what do they expect in the course, what type of environment is it, what type of climate is it, who are you as a professor, are you trustworthy? Because that's something that often comes up when I interview students about equity in the classroom, is they may not feel like they can trust their professor, not because of anything specific that the professor said or did, and sometimes it is for those reasons, but most often because they don't feel like a relational connection. And so the syllabus, being one of the first forms of in-depth communication, could be that relational connection. And so you know, just kind of go through and think about a syllabus that you have in mind, maybe the one that you were centering this experience around in terms of the course you want to redesign, and see if you can make use of something like this. And I
And answering
show you.
KT's comment in the chat, the link should give you access to a page that will say, copy this resource so that you create a copy for yourself rather
Right.
than looking at the actual document.
Right here. And then you'll have a copy in your Google Drive. And so there's different criteria that typically show up in the syllabus. Some things might be new, but these are things that you can kind of rate and evaluate and kind of slowly build and redesign elements of your course around. But thank you. I will take any questions anybody might have.
William, as people formulate their questions, are there areas that you often get the most questions about as people use this tool to look at their syllabus?
So yes, the transparent assignment design, but we, like this group, we kind of covered that last summer and what that's all about. The other one would be validation. So how do you validate students? And so including things like testimonials from past students in your syllabus, not only testimonials about their successes, but testimonials about what was difficult for them. And especially if you can get students to speak to how you were helpful in that or how a resource was helpful in that. And some faculty, what they found is it's easy to pull some of those items from their surveys, their faculty, their student surveys about the course. And then what else comes up? Academic and personal support. So that can mean a lot of things. You kind of have to know your students in a way, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But you kind of have to assess your students for needs and barriers to figure out exactly what support they might need commonly on the campus. I think Yazdan had a question, and then Gabriella.
Yes, thank you very much, William, for your fantastic presentation. I have only one question. How long did it take you to prepare this document?
Oh, so the faculty reached out to me like last summer sometime, and it took me probably about 2 days of work, just doing the research, going through literature. Obviously there was a huge gap, but and then I was working with Matthew Doyle, one of our librarians, because I always reach out to him when I can't find things. So he helped me find a few more articles that spoke to specifically like signaling and syllabi as it relates to equity. So probably about 2 days of work to come up with a framework. And then every faculty member that I help with this, I kind of add things or remove things, or you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like a baseline tool for me to have a conversation.
Thank you.
And William,
yeah. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Let's take Gabriella's question, and then there's one from Jen in the chat that we can get to after that.
Okay.
Hi, William. I actually put something in the chat that says, I love the idea of each one teach one in concept, but I also find that some students find themselves in the position of having to balance teaching with learning in ways that other students may not be expected to. And I wasn't really sure how to ask the question, but I guess the question is there a way to build in the syllabus to make it like an open-ended question for the students that are willing to maybe participate in that process, and then maybe if they needed to change their mind later because it becomes too much, is there a way to do that?
Right. So when I was speaking to that on the slides, I was just giving context about the school that my great grandfather started. So I haven't necessarily used a lot of, so I used to coordinate a tutoring program in our learning center, and there is a lot of literature on, there's a very scientific name for this model, but it's kind of that peer tutoring model based on students that are currently in the course. There's a lot of good literature that supports that that is a good thing, but Gabriella, like you're pointing out, the challenge would be now that's labor for the current students, and is that equitable in itself? One thing that I will say is the way in which we refer students to existing services like tutoring and supplemental instruction, things like that, can use some work. And I think this syllabus speaks to that, because sometimes doing it in the context of the assignment is a little bit better. And then also the relational component of, have they even met the tutors or SI leaders in a meaningful way? So whenever we went out and we did interviews and we asked students about help-seeking behavior, what we often found is the students that went to the Learning Center versus the ones who didn't, the only difference was the students who went knew somebody there. They didn't have to know the specific tutor they were seeing. They didn't have to know the specific SI leader, but they knew a person. They had a relationship, an existing relationship with someone that worked in the Learning Center.
Thank you.
That's a really good point, William. And sometimes it can be instructive to have someone from the unit where you want students to possibly go to do a guest lecture for 5 minutes to explain their services and how to access them. And also some instructors will actually make it part of an assignment to destigmatize seeking help by making it something everybody does. And a third strategy is to share with students your own personal experiences with using support services, so that they can see that you got to where you were and you took advantage of different help. But we know from the Student Senate from the California Community Colleges during the pandemic, they had a panel after they put out the results of a survey they conducted, and they were very clear that the students who often need the most support are the least likely to self-advocate or seek that help. And so making it easy, lighting up the runway, is an important aspect of this process. William, I'm grateful for your contribution, and I think there may be more. I'd love to move to the next speaker if you are okay with that, and then we will keep answering questions in